Hello and welcome to this video where we shall be talking about inheritance, which is in this particular case in Java. What we're going to start off with is, I'm going to start by talking about single inheritance, and then we're going to move on to multiple inheritance, and then multi-level, and then hybrid. It's going to be a fairly long video, and I'm going to give you a few examples of, different aspects of how inheritance works. So let's get started. Let's just have a look here. We're in IntelliJ again. Let's go ahead and create a different class. Let's call this class A, or single level inheritance. And let's just create a method right now that returns nothing. So do method 1, just do system.out.println base class method. And do another class, public class B extends A, do public void again, method 2, let's do another method down here. Its public should be declared in a file. Don't worry about that just yet, I'll move that out. Public static void main string args. We could actually just put this in a different class, well not different class, sorry, we could just put it in what we're working with here, A and B. What we could just actually do is just put it in main, but for now let me just write this out. So we do B new object equals, call it obj for a new object, then do new, do object, then we'll do the accessor, and in this case we'll access method 1 and then method 2, and then what we could do here is just do system.out.println child class method. Let's have a look. Let's just to keep this modular, let's just create another class. There we are. And we don't even have to have this in here. We could just go into main. So what you could do is just copy that out of here. Remove this, go into main, and what we have here simply is we're creating an object of B, calling the object method 1, method 2, we're going to B, there's no method 1, but we do have method 2. Where method 1 comes from is actually within A, so if we click through to A, we have method 1 in here. So basically what is happening here is just single level inheritance. We're just doing basically like A to B. It's very easy to understand single level inheritance. So basically when a class extends another one, basically we just call that single level, well I say we, everyone who is in with the community of computer science will call that single level inheritance. This particular flow, what I've just done here on screen, what's giving me the error, which is good, is just a basic diagram set A to B, which is pretty simple. A in this case is the parent class of B, and B would be the child of A. So it makes more sense when we start using like real world examples. Just give this a run for now. Let's just do run. I think it's, maybe I'll try to remember this on a Mac. There we are. Command R. There we are. It just runs there. Very simple. It's easy enough to use, easy enough to understand in the sense that basically we just, two methods, calling an object and calling these particular objects. What we could do at this point, we could add another method. So for this particular one, let's go ahead and let me think about this. Should we create another class? Let's do, so we've got A at the minute, we have B, we have the main class. Let's do extends B. And then from here, let's also do, let's say we're going to let me have a think about this. Should we create another method in here? So currently what we have is we have A, which will go down to B, and then B comes basically into main. So here we have multi-level inheritance, which refers to some sort of mechanism in the OL principles, which is just a technology where one can inherit from a derived class, thereby we're going to step up another level. So what we can basically do is just, again, if you think of a flow diagram, think you've got A, B, and in this case C could just be main, but so we could just do main. So pretty simple. Main extends B, B extends A. It's just multi-level inheritance at this point. We have one method in here. B has one method, and we're going to main. Main has just a main method, and we can just do like public method. Let's do public void hello. Oh no, let's do method flurry. Let's do print line class. This is the main class. And then we'll go down here. What we can do at this point, we could do object.method flurry, and it's going to error. The reason for that is we're calling an object on B, which is this particular class. We'll just call it a main for now, and we'll do new main, and then this is our you could call this the base class, where we're basically beginning from. So we start from main, we go into B by extending B, then B extends A, so we've got method 2 and method 1, and then in here we have method 3. So that's pretty cool. In a sense, when it comes to like hierarchical inheritance, it can get a bit more complex. We could have something in a sense of A being, let me just put this down here, A being the first class that we've initialized, or as the parent class, base class, whatever you want to call it, some names to it. Then we could have, say, below this we could have B, and then after that we could have C, and there we could just have D. So the base class or parent class is it's basically just in this sense. I could show you that example, but it's basically just, again, more hierarchical extracts. You can keep going up and up and up and up, and it's not. It can get a bit complex, but just keep the logic within your head as if to where you're going at this point with your inheritance. I think this is pretty useful though to get you started. How you can do, I've showed you how to do single level or multi-level inheritance. This should get you really far, and then if you want to be brave, go ahead and create some advanced hierarchical inheritance programs. You'll probably eventually come across these if you do become if you are a developer or are striving to become a developer. Few questions I got in the last video, because I mentioned I was going to do inheritance. Someone asked, can you use both this and super in a constructor? No, you cannot. Basically, the reason for this is because both super and this must be the first statement within a constructor, hence we cannot use them together, because you can't, one has to get called before the other. Let's see what other questions we got. Why is multi-level inheritance not supported? Well, to reduce the complexity of the language, multiple inheritance is in the sense that you do. Let me get rid of this. There we are. If you do this, it's not supported. Basically, consider a scenario where we've got A, B, C, all these different classes, and then class C inherits class A, then class B, and what happens if we've got the same method name in there? How do we suppose we know which one we're getting it from? There is something we can call like overriding methods, but this doesn't work in this particular aspect. It's too ambiguous to call either A or B the particular method that could have the same name. So basically just stay away from trying to extend multiple times, because it does not work. The purpose of inheritance, basically just from root code reuse, that's basically all it is. And obviously to use polymorphism, which is an aspect of object-oriented programming. So yeah, that's kind of it in that sense. I'm trying to think of examples, what other examples can show you. We could just use, let me think. We could just let me show you quickly how to use So we're in here using, the child class, whatever you want to call it, the base class, and we could just do super dot, and then we can just grab these methods here. Sometimes it won't let you do this. So look here, it's saying cannot be referred from a static context. And simply the reason for this, I will show you in a second, but I just want to make sure that this makes sense to people before actually doing this. So if we just look where this is coming from, super1, which is, let's get method 2 actually, this makes more sense. Save this. What we're going to do here is let's do this. Let's create a public void method 2 super.method2. We have to basically put it in here as the method name. You could do something like let's do public main. I cannot type tonight this evening. And then you can do the constructor too. So you can do that, but for the main argument, or the main method, it doesn't like it. Another quick question. I'm trying to just look through my notes, see what questions are coming up on my. Remember to get in contact by either tweeting me on Twitter. That should be in the link below at Carl Hadwin, or just subscribe and hopefully you enjoy all the videos. I think that's it for this video. Oh, last question. What if I need to use global variables and methods? How do I do that if everything has to go in one class? In this particular instance, there is no concept of global variables and methods in object-oriented programming. Instead, we want to use something, which I've got written down here actually, that we can use. Well, this particular thing we can use, it's called public static. This makes it very much like a global. You don't want to use it too much, just use it in the correct places. Any code in any class or application can access a public static method if you've marked it with something like final, or you've made it constant, and that particular aspect will only make it initialized. Well, it can only be initialized once if you do that. But yeah, if you want to go ahead and use globals, go ahead and look at the public static. I'll show you how to use that in the future, I guess, if people really want to see that. It's easy enough to Google. I just want to do a 1 minute video. But yeah, anyways, if you've got any questions, let me know. Quick things to take away from this video. Inheritance basically is to just promote code reuse. All Java code is defined in a class, remember that. A class basically describes, say, like a blueprint of a house, and that blueprint you can use, and I say you can use it once, but you can use that particular house or different houses multiple times. So basically, we're just thinking of it as a class describes how to make an object of that type. Class is a blueprint. An object can take care of itself. You don't need to know or care about what the object does. An object basically, in the simplest sense, just does things and knows things. Object-oriented programming lets you extend a program without having to touch previously tested working code, and that's very big in industry. A lot of people, just pass code around using different particular files, especially when it comes to interfaces. So have a look into that. Hopefully, we should do that in the future. A class can inherit instance variables and methods from a more abstract superclass. At runtime, a Java program is nothing more than objects talking to objects, and remember that. It's very important. Anyways, thanks for taking time to watch the video. If you've got any questions, do drop them in the comments below. Remember to follow me on Twitter. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos, and I shall see you in the next video. Goodbye.